What's up, guys? It's your favorite QB coach, and in this video we're going to show you guys how we got this player going from this view to this view in under an hour and 30 minutes. Let's go do this thing.
Till the lights go. Everybody wanna make millions, but not everybody been working. Everybody know they got brilliance, but not everybody.
Alright guys, if you guys are new to Mike's OG Academy, we do everything that you guys need to know about golf instruction, whether it be golf tips, golf instructional vlogs, golf interviews, anything that you guys need to know about golf instruction, we do it here. So if you guys haven't already, hit that little red subscribe button down there. You guys will be notified every time we drop a video. Kind of messed that part up there. Cool, let's get into it. So as you can see, we got the before here on the left, we got after here on the right of the screen. Obviously this is a huge before and after, and a huge change to make in an hour and 30 minutes. Now I get asked this question a lot from students, from other golf instructors as well, as like, how do we get players changing their golf swings this quickly and like literally in one session basically, right? And how do we keep them changing and not reverting back, right? Which is more the important part, I would say, than just getting them doing it during the lesson, because when I first started out, I could always get the students to change their swing dramatically in the lesson, but keeping them to where they don't revert, that's always been the issue, right? Which I've gotten a lot better with. So we're gonna go over a few ideas about that, and let's kind of hop into it. So first off, let's kind of talk about this model of swing, right? So we're gonna look at her before. So basically, as we kind of revert her back, we don't have the takeaway part, but when we get up to the top of the golf swing, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit and you can kind of see what her club face is doing, right? So this is definitely a common kind of back top of the swing position I see for a certain model of women's golfer and junior golfer, who when the club gets kind of heavy, you start seeing them getting this lead wrist kind of flattening at the top, flexion we call it. Club face gets really shut, right? From there, to do everything they can in their power to not hit the ball left, we're gonna see that this lead hip starts kind of pushing way forward, right? She's trying to make sure that she kind of comes this way and try to push everything out to the right so she doesn't hit the ball to the left, right? And then as we get her into this impact, we can see that obviously she has club head ahead of hands, which we don't like. As we start going through, we get that little chicken wingy look. Really just everything she can possibly do is trying to make sure that golf ball doesn't go to the left, right? So when we get a player like this, it's very obvious what's causing it, and it's her reacting to the club face, right? Now with this case, unfortunately with this video, I can't find one where she was, where we saw the grip, but she had a very strong grip, right? That was the first kind of thing that we fixed. So we got her grip a little bit more neutral. Strong just means that it was running perpendicular through the fingers, and it was more kind of turned down this way. And you could see about 4 knuckles on her lead hand. Right hand was very much underneath the grip. When she got up to the top, this started going this way as well, and she just started getting a super shut face, right? Kind of like a DJ. Now, I'm totally cool with the shut face. I like the really shut face for a lot of players, but for women or for someone who doesn't generate enough club head speed, definitely something we don't want to do, because now we're going to start getting these kind of negative side effects and her just trying to manage that really shut face. Cool. So how do we change this swing from this to this in basically an hour and 30-minute session? Well, the fastest thing, or the easiest thing that we did, was once we got done with the grip, we had to teach this player basically about how the hands and the arm should work on the backswing and the downswing, right? Now, if I went straight into kind of teaching her about the body, she was going to probably block a lot of shots out to the right. She was sort of a beginner. She's only been playing for about a year. She really just kind of never understood what the release was, right? So we started off going into analogies, right? Analogies is what I like to start with. I started out with the very simple steering wheel to the right, steering wheel to the left type of ideas, just kind of getting a general, just basically getting her into kind of the ideas of what a release should look and feel like. That worked for her to an extent. It wasn't working as well as I would like it to work. So then we switched up the analogy to serving drinks, right? Because you gotta know your student, right? My student obviously here has a huge athletic background, so I couldn't really go into tennis. I couldn't do any type of sports related activities. So she, obviously a lot of people have been to a restaurant, so it's pretty easy to talk about the waiter serving drinks like this. That was a very easy idea for her to get. So I got her serving drinks with the trail hand on the backswing, and then on the downswing, getting into kind of that same position, and she really started getting the release. She started getting her elbow going from this motion to this motion, right? Which we won't get into the biomechanics side of that. We don't want to make it all fancy for you guys. I want everyone to understand she's basically getting this release, right, instead of that little chicken wing, right, which we can see very much right here. Cool. Now, once we taught her about the release and she was actually releasing the golf club very nicely, from there, the next part we had to do was add on the body, right? Because if you just have the arms, you're going to get some club head speed, but you need to add in the body in there to kind of support how the arms are moving, right? So what we did with her from there was we started out doing a lot of drills without the golf club, right? So we did something that a lot of great instructors have done in the past. Jim McClain called it the elimination theory. I call it the implementation process. Other instructors call it different things. All it really kind of means is the first thing is take away ball flight, right? So doing swings with a golf club without the golf ball, right? Now, you can take it even further back, which is what we did for this particular student, because whenever I have a beginner golfer, I like to actually take the golf club away from them, and I also like to take the hands and arms away from them, and I have them cross their arms across their chest, right? So then from there, we had video set up. I basically gave her a rundown visually. I would demonstrate for her, then I helped put her into the positions, and I kind of helped her feel out what it should feel like in terms of the sequencing of the swing. We didn't get too analytical. I didn't talk about biomechanics, right? I didn't talk about left pelvic tilt, external rotation. We didn't need to do anything for that or any of those type of terminology for this student. We just kind of showed her, and it was really visual, right? Which is another side point for instructors out there watching, right? Which I think a lot of you instructors who are good out there do. You obviously got to know what type of learning style is your student, right? She was obviously a very visual learner and a kind of a kinesthetic learner as well, right? It is pretty common with a lot of people. So once we kind of got her going through that pattern, we started adding on the hands and the arms. She already kind of had the feel of the hands and the arms, so that came natural, and she started getting kind of, I call it the kick up move, which is basically, if we take a look at this screen, we can see this little motion right here. That's the kick up move right there. We worked on that without the golf club, with just the hands and the arms. Then once she got confident with that, we added on the golf club. Still, we're not really focusing on low point yet. We're not focusing on directing the club head anywhere, any kind of direction yet. We're really just trying to get her the feel of this kick with the golf club. Once she got comfortable with that, then we started transitioning into putting 2 tees in the ground and having her contact in front of those tees, right? And then we kind of had a little divot conversation, talking about what type of divots I would like to see her make. And then once we went through that whole process, then I teed up a golf ball, started having her hit some shots. Again, I gave her, basically what I told her was, you don't need to hit the golf ball solid yet. All I'm trying to do is have a golf ball in front of you, and you kind of get everything looking the way that we want it to look. If you mishit it, or if you don't hit it solid, we're really not worried about that. We're just trying to get the motion looking correct. Went through that phase. And then once she got through that, then we started taking a little bit more in seriousness in terms of starting line and contact, which she got really quick once she kind of got the freedom of actually feeling the way that she wanted to feel. As well, between all of this, we were obviously showing her video of her golf swing so she could see the progress, showing her before and afters already in the lesson so she could get hyped up and excited about it, right, and motivate her to keep going, stuff like that, right? And then from there, basically, we took the golf ball off the tee, and this basically led us to this shot right here. So as you can see, the golf ball leaving, it was not on a tee. She was doing a little half swing here, got the nice little up and kick move, and obviously from here we can see the huge before and afters, right? So that's basically the implementation process, mixed in with a little bit of mechanics, mixed in with basically knowing your student and knowing what type of learner they are. Even off the first lesson, it's just something that I think a good teacher picks up pretty quick after they've done it a while, right? So now, that was the first half of the lesson, right? That was not the whole hour 30. That was literally probably about 30 minutes. We spent the next hour focusing in on how she was going to practice that. We shot lengthy videos on my phone as well as on the iPad, documenting up how she was going to practice this, going over the same exact process we did. I made sure that she did the process by herself. I kind of gave her a little quick how-to on how to film, how to check, how to start using Huddle a little bit. And basically, that's kind of how I structure out my lessons. If you actually watch my lessons, if you guys are around the St. Mark area, and you guys come out to the range and watch my lessons, you're not going to see my students hitting a lot of golf balls per se, depending on the lesson. Some lessons they do if they need to work on certain things, but this lesson was more so give them the information, give them the visual, give them the feel, and then spend a whole hell of a lot of time, because this was a first lesson and first time they've come to me, showing them how to practice, which is super important, right? And then once we got that, she sent me videos in between now, and her swing is looking almost identical to this now. It's not quite perfect yet, But again, that was only the first lesson, but she is hitting the ball a lot higher, she says, a lot more consistent. She says she feels more athletic and she's having fun, right? Which is the name of the game for instruction, right? That's basically what you're trying to do. So anyways, guys, I just want to make this video really quick for you guys. I think there's a lot of teachable moments in there for just lessons in general on how you should maybe think about doing lessons with your instructor. If you have a good instructor currently right now, keep it to, you want your mechanical feels, you want your kind of thought process about that. But I think a large portion of the lesson should be basically used in showing you guys how to practice, right? Because that's usually the big disconnect. People usually get it during the lesson. They're like, yeah, I took a lesson with this coach. My swing looked amazing during the lesson, but I couldn't do it when I left him, right? After I started to go practice, I completely lost it. And I feel like I got to keep going back to this coach for me to actually get it and maybe progress, right? We don't want you guys to have to do that. You should, after maybe like a month's worth of lessons, maybe 5 lessons or something like that, you should have all the tools to be able to practice on yourself. From there, it's just like if you like the instructor, you have a good relationship with them, and you just enjoy the whole lesson process. That's like a lot of my students who keep coming back to me. They just enjoy taking lessons. They don't really need to be there. They have all the skill sets. They're playing really good golf. They're just kind of there because they want to just keep learning more about the golf swing, and they just like the learning part of it, right? So anyways, guys, if you haven't already, please feel free to smash that like button, leave me a comment, let me know how we're doing, and as always, hit that little red subscribe button. All right, guys, see you later.